Okay, I want to talk a little bit about alignment and ball position. And it's a really interesting thing. If you go back and look at Ben Hogan's book, the 5 Fundamentals of Golf, you'll see, or I'm sorry, 5 Lessons, the Modern Fundamentals of Golf, you'll see that Hogan does a little diagram of, as he's going through his shorter shots to his longer shots, you'll see that he's adjusting his alignment line to fit the angle of attack that he'd like to have with the shot he's hitting. So it's a little bit complicated. Now, a lot of people have asked me about this, and I see a lot of people struggling with this in the bunkers. I think so many people struggle out of the bunkers because they don't understand how when they shift their alignment, their ball possession has to shift as well. So hopefully this is clear enough. It's a little awkward to do, and I wish I had like 40 camera angles, but I've got this one camera angle, so I'm going to do my best. So if the ball's in the center of my stance, and I'm playing, and let's call the center of my stance where my sternum points. Let's say I'm playing a completely square shot, and I'm going to have the ball set up in the center of my stance, and I'm going to have a square alignment with my feet. So that just means that my feet are going to be relatively parallel or close to parallel to my target line. So that would be fine. This would look like, and is, the center of my stance. Or hopefully it's really, really close. But when I go to hit a bunker shot, if I follow the rules, like every tour player says, or not, maybe not everybody, but most say they open their club face and they open their stance to hit bunker shots. So if I follow the rules, I set up square, I open my club face and I open my stance, and now it looks like the ball's way in the front of my stance. So if you're watching on TV and they've got the camera angle faced directly at this guy, perpendicular to his target, and he's looking like this, that looks like the ball's way in the front of his stance, like way up off his left heel. When actually, that ball's actually pretty close to the center of his stance, because as you shift your alignment, or the angle, the position of your feet and the angle of your swing, as we shift our alignment left, now the low point, because my sternum is turning this way, the lowest point of the swing, or the center of my swing, is going to be somewhere around the middle and maybe slightly forward. So that golf ball is actually pretty much in the center of my stance. So when I swing along my body line and have the face pointed at the target, I'm actually hitting this thing pretty much at my low point, or maybe I'm coming down on it slightly, just slightly. So it's very, very interesting with the sand wedge for sure, because here's square, and as I open up, it looks like the ball position is going way in the front of my stance from your perspective for sure, but in actuality, it's pretty much right at my sternum. So that's one way that it looks pretty goofy. Or to at least the viewers on TV, and I think probably the average guy, it looks like the ball position's way in the front of their stance. But in actuality, it's pretty much in the center. Now, if I'm hitting a driver, and I wanted to play a cut, so if I want to play a cut, a successful cut, I need to start it somewhat left. I can't start it in the center or on the right side and have it curve right and have that be a successful shot, unless it's a dogleg right. So if I want to start this ball a little left, then I'm going to change my stance line or my alignment slightly left, so that I can come through with my club face pointed a little left and my path going left, and I can create a little bit of side spin on this thing, so I can start it left and curve it back to the middle. So here's neutral. This would be maybe where they said set up with the ball position on the inside of your left heel. And that looks probably pretty normal for that camera angle for sure. That probably looks pretty good. And that would work for just about a straight shot, or pretty close to a straight shot. But when I shift my alignment in order to hit this fade, now that ball position, which right now looks crazy, crazy forward in my stance, so here would be normal. If the ball were set up right here in line with this popsicle stick, that'd be normal. But when I shift my alignment, or my plane, or my path to the left, I've got to move that ball forward as well. So here I am at neutral, I shift left, and now that ball, if you're watching on TV, and this is great, Bubba Watson hits a lot of cuts with driver, so watch Bubba Watson. Every time you see him wanting to hit a cut, you'll see if the camera angle is perpendicular to the target line, it's going to look like Bubba's golf ball is outside his left foot. And from your angle, it is. But in actuality, because he's shifted his plane, or his path, or his stance, or his alignment, whatever you want to call it, he's not moved the ball crazy forward in his stance, he's just made it work with his adjustment and his alignment. So it's really, really interesting. If you want to play a fade, if you want to start the ball left, then we have to change our stance. We don't have to, but it would be easier if we allow for that by just opening our stance slightly. But when we open our stance, we need to be aware that as we open our stance, the ball position needs to work with us. Just like if I were going to play a draw, let's say I were going to play a low draw with my sand wedge. So I want to hit the ball on the downswing. If I want to play a low draw with my sand wedge and I want it to start right, I might actually shift this way a bit. So I might actually turn my whole body slightly to the right so that I can more easily start it to the right. So as I do that, I'm actually shifting my whole alignment, and even though on camera it looks like that ball is near my back foot, it's really just at my sternum, because I've shifted my alignment to the right. My ball position has to fit where my sternum points, or where my alignment points, in order for me to hit this thing solid. Okay, I hope that's clear. I hope that makes sense. It's really an interesting concept, and I think if you put some balls down or you go in a bunker and you draw some lines, this is a great idea. Go in a bunker, set your ball up right in the middle of your stance, draw a line with your sand wedge, one on the target line and one straight along that perpendicular line, and then as you open your stance, make sure that your sternum points toward the ball or at the ball. We don't want to go from here, open our stance, and open the club face and have our sternum point way up here, because now coming into the ball I'm going to have to back up in order to get the right low point. And so oftentimes I'll back up and hit it fat, or I'll go deep into the sand, or I might even hit it thin because I'm entering too far back, so or too far forward. So give it a try. It's really easy in the sand to draw those lines. Just draw a line parallel to the target, or right on the target line behind the ball, and a line perpendicular to it. And then as you're getting set up, make sure when you make your adjustments that you scoot back off that line. So the ball may end up, sometimes when I'm hitting a bunker shot, a really high one, I may have the ball, what appears to be from your angle, way up by my left toe, because I've opened my stance so much and opened the club so much to counteract, or I've opened my club so much to hit it high, so now I have to open my stance so much to counteract that ball position has to be what looks like really far forward, when in actuality it's always just relative to my stance line or my alignment. I hope that makes sense.